Mike, welcome to the Light Up Your Metabolism podcast. If you guys are watching this, you will realize that I'm not at home. We're not on Zoom. We are live in studio in this really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to bring you here because I heard we met each other through some mutual friends. I have a lovely Jaspr device, which we're going to get into, but I saw your talk at Hack Your Health and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I never knew air quality could be so interesting. And I was just riveted to everything that you said. And I was really excited about it. So I'm so excited to have this conversation.
I'm excited to be here and have the conversation with you.
Awesome.
So when you think about that talk, thank you, Ben Azadi, for interviewing me and having the talk with me. So if you think about the talk, what was something, because, I don't usually get feedback. It's just like a podcast online, and I don't ever get real-time feedback. So it was really awesome doing in-person talk stuff because I actually had a feedback loop where people could come back and say a thing. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So I'm curious, what was like a moment or two that stood out?
Well, I wanna ask those questions to you. So
fine.
I will scatter those throughout as I'm asking you questions, if that's cool.
That's totally cool. We're on your show.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and how you got into the world of air quality?
Okay. I will do that. So my name is Mike Feldstein, and I'm the founder of Jaspr. We make a really high-end, beautiful air purifier. But how we got here was my background was in wildfire smoke, flood, and mold remediation. So specifically disaster chasing. So, yeah, you may not know that part. So we weren't just like the mold man or the flood fire guy that you would like call if you had a basement plumbing leak.
Okay.
We were traveling. So wherever was the biggest state of disaster in North America is where we were going.
Whoa.
So if there was a wildfire in Napa in California, or in British Columbia in Canada, or Hurricane Harvey in Houston, or Fort McMurray, Alberta, or a hailstorm in the Midwest, that's where we were going.
Wow.
So my company was called the Rapid Group because we were rapid. We would respond rapidly to dire situations. So the flood, fire, and mold very much overlapped with air quality because whenever you do a mold removal or any kind of environmental toxic cleanup stuff, you always start with a baseline test. You test the air, maybe the materials, you clean up whatever needs to be cleaned up and restored, and then you test again to ensure that this place is healthy and safe for people to move back home or occupy that part of the home or that part of the building. So in 2016, it was the biggest fire in Canadian history in Fort McMurray, Alberta. And we were there where we restored about 150 homes in about 7 months. And this was an interesting one because thousands of homes burnt down. So it wasn't just tree smoke, campfire, s'more style smoke. This was a toxic soup from every can of WD-40 and paint and cars. When we would drive down the street after a neighborhood got ravaged, all you would see is chimney stacks and ash because the chimney stack was the only thing that could withstand the fire. Everything else is gone. Sometimes the frames of the cars would still be there. Luckily, no one died miraculously. 100,000 people evacuated, thousands of homes, one road in and one road out of town, and no one died, not even a firefighter. So it was quite a heroic effort and some luck, I suppose. And we would clean these homes from this really toxic smoke, and that meant like cleaning these homes, throwing out their carpets, cleaning and then repainting the walls to encapsulate them, removing and replacing insulation, throwing out all of their furniture, all of their clothing. Even after getting their people's clothing professionally cleaned 2 or 3 times, it would still stink like smoke.
Whoa.
It was like a toxic, smoky soup for like a month.
Wow.
So the number one, like this happened a bunch of times, but a particular family, mom's name was Tanya, and they had 2 kids. One of them was a newborn baby. And we cleaned this home, checked the air, all good. And then a week later, we get a call, baby's in the hospital. It's like, what do you mean baby's in the hospital? This post ended up she shared a post after we came in. Going viral on Facebook used to be a thing.
Yeah.
And it got like 1,200 shares on Facebook. I actually forgot about that. Viral on Facebook was a thing.
Yeah.
And the baby was in the hospital. So we went back, we checked the air quality, and it was very contaminated again.
Mm.
Why? Well, because after a wildfire, the air can stay contaminated for months. So we cleaned the inside. And where do you think the inside air comes from? Outside. So even though we cleaned the air, within a week or so, the bad air came back in the house and permeated all of the soft, organic, porous materials. So the house was now a sick house again. I called the insurance company. It's like, hey guys, we have a problem. We have a mutual customer. We restored their house, cleaned it, tested it. It's contaminated again. What do you want us to do? I propose that they go back to the hotel or to an Airbnb and they leave town for another month or so till we test the home and they can come back in. By the way, they have a baby who's sick. In short, their answer was so sad, too bad. It's like, yo, we don't pay to clean a house twice. We're paying you. They signed off. Our job here is done. So I'm like, whoa, we just got paid all this money, clean this house, kinda. This is what I call sad money. When you do a hard thing that should be impactful, but the outcomes ended up making your work not impactful at all. Yeah. So I call that sad money. Mm-hmm. It does not feel good to make sad money. Mm-hmm. And what I decided to do was leave our big commercial industrial air scrubbers, mm-hmm. which imagine a photocopier and a subwoofer had a baby. Really loud, really ugly, really effective though. Mm-hmm. We'd leave them behind and within a few hours, the air quality would be fine again.
Right.
So we would leave them there for a few weeks until the air was good and the family could move back home. But this kept happening and we needed to, I'm like, we can't keep giving away all of our commercial equipment. We need this for new jobs. So we went to Home Depot and Best Buy and we bought a bunch of these general consumer air purifiers you would find at a store like that. Mm-hmm. We plugged them all in and within a few hours, the air was bad again. So it was very clear that these little air purifiers weren't working. They weren't doing the job. And I was only used to these big, loud, ugly commercial industrial machines. I figured the ones at Home Depot would have been like a little bit lesser, but we bought like 5, 6 of them. Within a few hours, the air was bad again. I'm like, whoa, these things don't really work. Wow. So the analogy I like to use to like explain that concept is it's kind of like trying to heat a bathtub with a kettle. Mm-hmm. So a kettle is awesome at heating water if you're trying to make a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to heat a bathtub, it doesn't work because mm-hmm. as fast as you are heating the water, it's cooling. You can't heat a bathtub with a kettle. Mm-hmm. You could try, but it won't get hot enough to take a bath. Yeah. It's just too small of a job. It's too small to do the job. It's like trying to pull your trailer with a golf cart. Sometimes size matters and you need a bigger tool to get the job done. Yeah. And this tool was not sufficient. So, that kind of began my journey. And I felt like, and we were in this reactive side, consulting with air and cleaning stuff up. But I felt like powerless because I didn't know where to point people to. Because if they had a really loud, ugly machine, they would unplug it. They would stash it in the closet.
I would never use that. With that noise, it would just bother me.
The noise pollution is just as bad as the air pollution.
Yeah.
It's the new pollution. You're not helping anything. So it's like you treated one symptom and then created another.
Right.
What's the point? So when I realized that, I'm like, oh, we need something that is quiet and beautiful and can detect wildfire smoke in real time mm-hmm. and looks pretty, where you would be proud to leave it in your house. Because like you could buy a $19 Walmart kettle that will heat water. It'll be plasticky and ugly. Or you could go to like Restoration Hardware or anywhere in between and get like the $80 one because you want it to sort of look good on your countertop. Right. And be nice to use, give you a good experience, even something as silly as a kettle. So why would an air purifier be any different? So yeah, my background was in like really toxic, smoky cleanup. Then I wanted to create an air purifier for wildfire smoke. And now I never in a million years would have thought I'd be talking to you about proactive health and wellness stuff. This is way more fun than wildfire smoke. And because like, yeah, it's proactive. And now we're at a place where like, we're working with people who are trying to optimize sleep mm-hmm. and allergies and just general health.
Yeah. So
that's it.
That's so interesting. That story about, first of all, I don't know, this isn't like a hard concept to grasp, but for some reason I didn't really realize that, yeah, all the air that's inside the house comes from outside. Like, duh. I just didn't think about that. I never lived in an area with wildfires. We had hurricanes in Florida.
Mold.
But yeah, but mold. So mold's a huge issue for where I come from, and I've used air purifiers, and I have some in my house, and you came in to give me a Jaspr, and you looked at my other air purifier. You're like, well, that one would be good for like a closet. So how much space do air purifiers clean? And like, I think that the particle size really matters. Can you talk to us about
It kind of matters.
yeah.
So oddly, we use like a HEPA, a carbon filter, and a pre-filter.
Okay.
But we would actually probably be better served. We're always lab testing and improving our filter.
Mm-hmm.
So every next filter you get, you'll notice every couple filters, it's an entirely different filter. Because the real innovation is inside. It's not that machine you see on the outside. That needs to be a beautiful unit, ideally made from steel, not plastic, with a good fan and motor. But the filter is a big part of the magic sauce.
Yeah.
When it's too small, you don't have, it's like the engine of the car. You want your car to look good, be safe, comfortable, but like the engine is where like the magic happens.
Right.
If you have a tiny engine, the car is going to suck.
Yeah.
So particle size is important. So when you see most companies advertising, like we filter 99.9999997% of whatever,
Yeah.
that means per pass. But so like literally, for example, if this water bottle was a HEPA air purifier, I'm holding a water bottle. It's a regular little Yeti. And this could be a HEPA filter that would filter 99.7% on pass, 99.97. However, because it's small, this would be good for like not even a car. So it could still filter particles down to this teeny tiny size, but not enough of them.
Okay.
It's like, think about a space heater versus a furnace.
Right.
So the particle sizes kind of matter. The truth is most filters are really good. So a really good analogy is, would you rather have 99% of $1 or 95% of $5? So as you increase the efficiency of your filter, which is how many particles it captures per pass, you dramatically decrease the amount of airflow. So it's this dance. You need a perfect harmony between efficiency and efficacy. Efficacy is how much air are we actually moving and changing and cleaning, and then efficiency is how much air are we cleaning per pass. So we try to find that balance between, there's different levels of HEPA, H12, H13, H14, all the way up to H17. There's even something called ALPA, which is like an ultra HEPA that's even higher standard than HEPA. But it's really, it doesn't cost any more to make. So it's not a cost issue. But if you use an ALPA filter, so you get an extra 0.0001%, but you've just decreased your airflow dramatically. So now you're cleaning less air. So particle size is important, but I've never seen an air purifier that has an inefficient filter. Where they are bad is their structural integrity, in their surface area, in their airflow, their ability to reliably, consistently clean a lot of air. The issue is not typically in the particle size. So it's important, but most filters are pretty good.
Okay. So yeah, the size really matters here.
Yeah.
And that airflow. So you tried to figure out something before you made the Jaspr to put onto the HVAC, right?
Yes.
And that didn't go well.
Didn't go good. Took a couple years and a bunch of money. But I'm glad we did that, because otherwise I would have been sitting here like wondering, do we actually have the most elegant solution, or are we just kind of full of shit, blindly marketing the thing that we have? So I thought it would have been the most elegant solution possible, because like, if ugly is intrusive in the middle of your living room, the best scenario would be out of sight, out of mind, just automatically working, never to be seen. Change my filter once a year, just like your water heater. Like,
yeah,
I'd rather not see water heaters on each room sitting on my counter. So I approached that. The problem with that was, and I tried like all of them, same kind of thing. They work in theory. A lot of times the lab testing people do is not practical lab testing. So like when you see like a Lysol wipe and it's like, we clean 99.999% of the bacteria. And then you like look into it. I've spoke to a lot of EPA consultants and stuff. Sometimes they only had to clean 1 square inch. So it's like, yeah, you were super effective. Because like, how about the elbow grease? How effective would water and paper towel be and 1 square inch of cleaning dust.
Yeah.
So like you just see these marketing numbers. Whenever I see number first marketing, I get skeptical.
Okay.
I like feeling first marketing. I believe in your stuff. Aren't you like way more symptom based?
Yeah.
Than like data?
Yeah.
And because like that stuff could be misconstrued. It's not the whole puzzle. What matters is how the human feels.
Yeah.
So whenever people are leading with like this arbitrary number, back in the day, when's the last time you've seen a car ad that's advertising horsepower and torque?
Yeah.
That was the thing before.
Yeah.
Like, what's my horsepower? And I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to race. And even if I was, that doesn't even tell me how fast it goes.
Right.
I want to know, is the car safe? Does it have comfortable seats? Does it have whatever backup camera? Like
yeah.
You know, I want someone to say like, I sit in this car 4 hours a day and I feel really comfortable. My back feels great. I push one button and the kids hop in. Like, that's what I want to buy from. I don't care about the horsepower and the torque.
Got it.
So a lot of marketing with these stats is they're using statistics instead of truth. So with these whole home units, it's really a cute idea.
Yeah.
I wanted it to work badly because we would have worked with HVAC dealers across the country. You'd have a built-in sales force.
Yeah.
No e-commerce required.
Yeah.
The problem is ideally your furnace is only going to run as little as possible.
Right.
To heat it and cool it. It costs a lot of money. It's not very environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
So those furnace filters are only working when the furnace is working. So, you know, it kicks on and off and on and off. But when it's off, it means your air filters aren't working.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, they're quite loud. You cannot focus your cleaning efforts. So you're cleaning the crawl space or like the hallway space as much as your baby's bedroom or your own bedroom. You can't focus your cleaning efforts in particular rooms. Also, furnaces just weren't designed to filter air.
Yeah.
So
would that impede the airflow and then make the unit work harder? And
exactly that.
Yeah.
So you choke out. It's called a pressure drop, and you kill the airflow in the unit, which makes the furnace work much harder. You notice how they're called furnace filters. They're not called air filters.
Right.
They're called furnace filters because they're a filter for the furnace.
Right.
They're designed to, and if you look at the one that comes with the furnace, the one the manufacturer recommends, they're not super high efficient because they're designed to capture pet hair, a screw, a nail, a clump of dust to not like clog up the motor and the fan.
Okay.
When you try to make your your heating and cooling system also your air filtration system, so not what it was designed for. So no disrespect to furnaces and air conditioners, because I love that thing, but it just wasn't the silver bullet we wanted it to be.
Gotcha.
So if we just put it in a room, it would filter the air unbelievably. No different than if I put a Jaspr and shoved it in the middle of your furnace, but the air is a lot sneakier than water. Water comes into your house through one pipe. So we can put one filter on the pipe and capture all the water, or we can do your shower, or we could just do our drinking water, or get a fridge with a filter, or put a Berkey on the counter. There's a million ways to filter the water.
It's contained. Yeah.
Based on that flow. Air comes, where does air come through? Exactly. There's
Everywhere.
no air pipe. Your doors, your windows, your attic, your crawl space, every vent in the house, sneaky. So for that reason, you need a decentralized system. So ideally, you're cleaning the airs in the bedrooms, in the kitchen. Schools performed a lot better. Some schools are just like, just put a filter on the HVAC on the roof. We worked with a lot of very forward-thinking private schools during COVID, and they would put the units in each class. It's like, if someone's breathing out viruses, do you think it's better to have air filtration in every room where the air is actually being exhaled and inhaled, or on the roof where very little of it actually makes its way there? So just like a Sonos system is a little more elegant than a giant speaker in the middle of your house that's very bassy. That's why, so we went down that rabbit hole of the whole home system, failed for a couple of years, tried, and then we're like, we probably could sell these things, but let's spend 2 more years. So it took 4 years to go from dreaming of Jaspr to actually having a product. That was 4 years that like we weren't selling anything.
Yeah. Amazing. So let's turn this to this is a health podcast, and people are probably thinking, what are the benefits
Yeah,
of
let's do it.
poor air quality on health? We already know that the wildfire smoke, super toxic when homes are burning, sends babies to hospitals. But what about the average person? How is air quality affecting us?
So this is cool because the benefits are the inverse of like how it's harming you.
Yeah.
Like both those things. And I think the house is this amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Humans, especially in North America, we spend over 95% of our time indoors.
Very poor for circadian health, but
It's a blessing
we
and
have
a
to,
curse.
yeah, we have to optimize this home environment as well.
We have to.
Yeah.
The curse is, that's way too much time indoors.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get outside.
Yeah.
You got and live in a place, even if you got to move, live in a place where you want to be outside.
Right.
So the curse is 95% too much time.
Mm-hmm.
The blessing is how awesome that you have a reasonably sized structure, the only place on the planet where you get to customize the environment however you like.
Mm-hmm.
So you can turn it from, a house right now is likely making you very sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of stuff in it that we'll dive into,
Mm-hmm.
but it can very, very inexpensively and very low effort be flipped to be your health haven, your clean air sanctuary, your filter. You get to choose the lighting, you get to choose the air, the water, the bedding, the chemicals, the materials. So it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody drinks 6 cans of Coke a day.
Mm-hmm.
The bad news is this is way too much sugar. The good news is if we could just remove the sugar, you're already a really good liquid drinker. If we could switch that to water, we could really turn that negative into a positive. You're already conditioned to like slamming these drinks and peeing all the time. So let's use this weakness as a strength. So your normal house, if we look at air pollution, we have indoor pollution, we have outdoor pollution. Outdoor pollution is pollen. Mold is, a couple of them are indoor and outdoor. Mold being one of them. It's like a wild card. So the mold is indoor pollution. It's outdoor pollution, car pollution. The rubber from the tires, where do you think the rubber goes? You don't see it on the roads, but your tires get eaten away after a few years. That goes in the air. If you smell those rubber gym mats, you only smell, like, it's very important to remember, we have amazing sensors on board these beautiful bodies. And if you smell a thing, it's because you're breathing the thing. Just like if you taste the thing, it's because you put it in your mouth. If you smell a thing, it's because you put it in your nose. So whether that's rubber or garbage or your baby's poop.
Tell the story about the diaper genie.
You want the diaper story?
Yeah.
All right. My lawyer sister is like, stop saying diaper genie. Just call it a diaper pail. All right, Lisa. Diaper pail. She's like, they're going to have a problem. I'm like, whatever, man. They got to make a better they got to make a better box.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So my daughters are 2 and 4, and when Aria, the older one, was less than 1, we had a diaper pail, and it smelled like poo in my daughter's room. I'm like, yo, it smells horrible in here, horrible. And by the way, we even had a Jaspr in there. It still smelled like poo in that room. So I was like, Rach, like, can we maybe change the protocol so the diapers go right outside? And she's like, it's super annoying. That's like 30 extra steps. And I'm like, busy mom life. I don't blame her. I was like, fine, but I feel like that we have a rite of passage where like, I just feel like, Aria can't talk. And I feel like if she could talk, she would ask us to take the poo out of her room. I just have this feeling. My fatherly instincts are telling me this. So let's tonight put the diaper pail in our bedroom so we can see what it feels like to experience sleeping in a room with a diaper pail filled with poop. And her response was like, no way. I'm not sleeping in a room with all that shit. And I was like, aha, I got you. Like once she said that out loud, there was no way she was going to put it back in because like, if it smells like poop, it is poop. And if it is poop, it's bacteria. So if you test the air for either bacteria or E. coli, Enterobacter, any of that stuff in a baby's bedroom, the levels of particulate matter of the particle size of bacteria are way too high. So what the Jaspr was really effective at was removing the harmful particles from the air, but the filter would get caked up in the odor. So it wouldn't fully remove all of the odor. A lot of it, a lot better.
Yeah.
But at least we weren't like, we were removing a lot of the contaminants without removing all of the odor.
Gotcha.
So that was a powerful moment because it just really connects you to realizing that you know, if you grew up your whole life just drinking water and then along came filtered water and then you go to a restaurant and you try tap water, you could taste that chlorine and chemicals and it tastes gross. So now you've educated your taste buds and you put trust in them that say, if this water tastes funky, I'm not drinking it.
Right.
So the most powerful thing that that if I could give the world anything, it's not a Jaspr air purifier. It's air awareness, because there's a lot of cheap and free ways to optimize your air. Yeah. And we'll talk about a few of those.
Yeah, let's finish up with the toxins.
Let's do
like
that.
The indoor outdoor.
Yeah. So and I'll say what's bad and then what the benefit is.
Perfect.
So outdoor, you got the pollution, you got the rubber, you got the wildfire smoke, you got, and then indoor for someone else could be outdoor for you. So let's say your neighbor's using bounce sheets when they dryer, whatever.
Yeah, dryer sheets.
So
laundry.
they're venting it right outside, possibly. I walked down a street the other day. I was in the middle of a street, pretty sparsely like spread out, and it smelled like bounce. It's like, where do you think it goes? Or if someone's spraying their aerosol sunscreen 50 feet away and you're inhaling it, it's because you're putting it in you.
Yeah. And you mentioned like people cutting, let's say like drywall outside, and then your neighbors are doing that outside, and that's going to come in your house. Like, I don't know why I never conceptually thought of that, but it makes total sense. And so this idea that what your neighbors are doing, like you're controlling your home environment and what's happening inside, but there's things in the air that are getting in that are beyond our control.
Yeah,
right?
So you can control it once it comes in, but you can't control if it will come in.
Right.
It's happening.
Right, it's happening.
You can't stop the wildfire smoke from 4,000 miles away.
Right.
You can do something about it. If your water quality is poor, you could move to Lake Tahoe, where they have Tahoe Tap and they have the best tap water.
Yeah.
But most people aren't going to relocate for water quality.
Right. Maybe
you live near a spring and you could or order some spring water. But broadly, you don't dig a new well if you have bad water. You filter the bad stuff out.
Right.
If you buy raw chicken, you got to cook it first.
Yeah.
If you get bad air, you should filter it.
Yeah.
And air is not right now really trending up. It tends to be getting worse. So yeah, it could be your neighbor doing construction. It could be barbecuing. And the cool thing about Jaspr is
I love barbecue smell though.
It does smell good.
Bad for us.
Well, I'd just rather not get it like absorbed and embedded in my furniture, in my clothing. I'm happy to smell it outside by the grill with the sensations of the sizzle.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome because of all the other great sensory stuff. I don't necessarily want to like put a barbecue in my house.
So when I cook, the Jaspr goes nuts. It always knows. I always say that Jaspr hates my cooking. So why is it going off so much? Not even just if I'm doing like cooking bacon. It could be I could be cooking anything and the Jaspr is going off. So what is cooking food causing indoor air pollution?
So those were to set the stage, we talked about what the outdoor pollutants are.
Okay.
The pollens, the pollution, etc. Indoor pollution, the number one thing is cooking.
Crazy.
Followed by cleaning products, chemicals, personal care, hairspray. If you're sunscreening inside, you don't. And don't buy that spray stuff either.
Yeah.
And other stuff inside could be cleaning. So not just cleaning agents, but if you have a bad vacuum that's not capturing small particles, it just kicks it all up into the air. Inside could also be off-gassing from paint, from furniture, and then it can also be mold. So because if you have
cat litter,
dogs, pets in
dust,
general. And dust is an indoor problem.
Okay.
You won't typically go outside unless you're like seeing sand in Arizona, but you don't really go outside and see dust on your car or dust on the sidewalk.
Right.
Dust is an indoor problem that exists when you have no airflow, no UV light from the sun, no wind. You left nature outside. You made a nature-free zone, and bad stuff started to happen. That's what homes are.
Interesting.
So the reason why Jaspr knows before your nose knows is because it knows because like literally you could be cooking asparagus or grass-fed, grass-finished steak with avocado oil.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm cooking.
all the cleanest with a cast iron pan.
Yeah.
You can have the whole stack. It will still go up because polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are one of the big things, PAH, that we would clean up and test for after wildfire smoke. Hexavalent chromium was another one, hexchrome, Aaron Brockovich. So these were like the top few things that we'd be looking for after wildfire smoke. Well, PAH still gets created when you cook, especially like if you take high protein and you give it extreme heat, you aerosolize that thing. It's just like water evaporates, candles. When you make stuff really hot,
Yeah.
it aerosolizes.
Yeah.
If you take something and make it really cold, it turns into a solid. If you make it really hot, it turns into a gas.
Got
it
it.
aerosolizes. So, steak is awesome to eat. But the off-gassing from the really high temperatures and the proteins, non-stick pans can be worse.
Yeah.
Bad oils with low smoke points can be worse. Low quality food can be worse. So like bacon is awesome, but if it doesn't necessarily mean, doesn't mean you want to take bacon and rub it on your pillow and like chop it up and put it in your bedding, because anything in your house that's porous, if it can absorb water, if you can make it wet, it can absorb air. So if your carpet, if you spill water on it, you can visibly see it's wet. If you pour water on your porcelain or your countertop, your sealed countertop, and the water sits on top, that means it's sealed. So it's impermeable by water.
Okay.
Same thing for air.
Okay.
So anything that is absorbing water, like your towels, like your clothing, like your carpets, like your bed, it's absorbing the air. Okay. So a lot of people.
So that means all the toxins and particulates that are in the air are also getting absorbed into that material. So that's why when they washed it. Yeah. So then when the people were washing their clothes, you said after the wildfire, the smell didn't come out because it just like embeds itself. I imagine these particles are like extremely
Ooh, you just
tiny.
gave me a new term. Thank you.
What?
Air stains.
Air stains.
Because like if you could stain your clothes and you could wash it, you could OxyClean it, you could take it to the dry cleaner. Some stains you just can't get out.
Yeah.
So that color literally like permanently stained your clothing. So air can stain. Bad toxic air can also stain porous materials, especially like a memory foam bed. That's not easy to clean.
Yeah.
So when we were like cleaning homes after mold and wildfire smoke, I can clean a table. Even they would try to get us insurance companies to clean like a couch. I'm like, we can't, man. It's the inside stuff.
Yeah.
I even saw TVs that we would take apart to the TVs, and TVs would be covered in ash on the inside.
Whoa.
So those big fire and smoke things are really eye-opening because there's visible ash everywhere. So literally like in a TV, there'd be ash inside. Well, how did it get in there? Well, the same way all the air got in there.
Yeah.
So broadly, now we have a bit of a picture on what is outdoor stuff and what is indoor stuff. And now, like, why is it bad for you?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. And it's awesome to speak to an audience like yours, who's already very health conscious and forward thinking, because everything you are like the reason this stuff is interesting for you is because you get it. So it's like super easy for you to build, like very easily you would know as much as I do, because it's the same stuff that's true about food. It's the same stuff that's true about water. Like polluted water, bad. Clean water, good.
Yeah.
Bad food, bad. Good food, good. Bad food could still be wrapped and seasoned or spiced or overly sugar in a bad way. So you can like take a good thing can be bad. Air is awesome. We love it. It's the first thing we do when we're born. It's the last thing we do when we die. But it's if we contaminate that air with stuff. So it's not that the air is a problem. It's what's coming at you through the air. Yeah. It's just like you don't want to drink dirty pond water. That might be like if you saw a kid jump into like a really nasty, like the Detroit River or something, you'd be like, get out. But like we live in air that's often as polluted as that dirty water. Yeah. So when you just sort of realize like you're getting all kinds of stuff that's just bad. So, stress, my psoriasis is like really under control. But any stress factor triggers my autoimmune stuff. So if I drink bad water or soda, it gets bad. If I breathe bad air or mold or allergens, it gets bad. If I work too hard and too late and I don't sleep, it gets bad. If I eat bad, drink bad, if I do any of the stress inducing things in my life, including stress too much about trying to be healthy, it gets bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, like mold is going to disrupt you. And like anyone who's having a mold problem, if you have mold in your basement, you're not eating the mold, you're not drinking the mold. So how are you getting impacted? Because you're breathing that mold.
You're breathing it.
If chemicals in your home are bad, unless it's like skincare stuff that's absorbing into your skin, which air also absorbs into your skin and creates oxidative stress. And, bad air particles get into your pores. So that massively expedites wrinkles and aging. So
Wow.
it's not, so on the flip side of that is super clean air, super clean water, super clean food is going to like just have a way lower stress load.
Yeah.
I really appreciated Ben Azadi's like cup of water analogy.
What was his cup of water analogy? Remind
Like
me.
everybody has a stress bucket.
Oh, yes.
And like the most profound one I've ever seen is the allergies. So
Mm-hmm.
people who really struggle and suffer from seasonal allergies and it's impacting their sleep and they got runny nose and dry eyes, all the stuff. I would have thought that they would put a Jaspr in their bedroom and then in their living room, and then they'd have this clean air sanctuary, but then they'd go outside their house and get their ass kicked because the contrast would be so high and that they would get used to clean air and they would become more fragile. Because we learn, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but there's exceptions to that rule. Big time.
Big time.
And mold toxicity or allergens work really similar. So what ends up happening is when somebody decreases their allergen load, because right now, if you have bad allergies, Austin, you know, in Texas, we literally talk about allergies. Like cedar fever is a thing here, and it's 24 hours a day. Because if your indoor air comes from outside, and then you have no UV light to purify your indoor air, you have no wind, you have no nothing, your allergen load. So when there's like allergy pollen here, good day, bad day, if we tested this carpet right now for pollen, it likely has more pollen than outside. So you think of allergies as this outside thing, but it's not. It's an air thing, and then it comes inside. So it's in the pillow, it's in the clothes, it's in all the stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you filter your air, you want to address airborne problems before they become surface problems. You can take care of it while they're in the air.
Much easier than before it gets embedded in
Now we
the
like deep
carpet.
clean, HEPA vacuuming,
Wow,
cleaning our
yes.
walls.
Yeah, that's
deep
smart.
cleaning all the time. Like my furnace filter, even after a year, it's still fully clean. And you know, instead of changing my duct cleaning every year, we can do it every like 4 or 5 years. Deep cleaning our house, we don't really get we almost have no dust accumulation in our home.
That's
Because
amazing.
we have like 4 or 5 Jaspers. It's like a 3,000 square foot house. So we're filtering out dust, so it's not becoming an indoor
constantly.
problem.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't dusted my living room and I have 3 cats and full carpet and I haven't dusted. And like, I'm over there. I was just over there yesterday, just noticing like, it's not even dusty. That's really interesting.
well, if you get the dust before
Wow.
it becomes dust.
Yeah.
And David Gonzalez, do you know David?
No.
He's a sweetie. He's in town here.
Uh-huh.
And I love when he tells his Jaspr story because he talks about the beam of light that you would normally see shining. He would like talk about how in the morning,
through
the beam of light
particles.
coming through his window, you know, what we can't see particles in the air until if you turn off the lights and you take a flashlight and you smack your bed, you will be horrified at the cloud that comes up. So he talks about how the light would come in every morning, or maybe before dinner, or like when that beam of light would normally shine in and he'd be sitting there seeing the beam. And he's like, now my beam of light is just light. It has no dust in it anymore.
Amazing.
So it was this really neat moment for him. Also, if depending on when the people are paying attention, when I cook, that's when if you see the beam of light coming through when you're cooking, you can actually see all your cooking particles in the air. Or if you turn off the lights when you're cooking in the evening and you shut your windows and you hold up a flashlight while you're cooking, you'll see all the cooking particulate in your whole home. So there are ways to make the air more seen. And I think that's important for people because once you see it,
visualize
you
it.
lock it in more.
Yeah. And even that idea that like if, sometimes you can walk out of someone's house and you smell like their house. Like it's like, oh, you smell like a house or you smell like this meal. And it's like the idea that the particulates are in the air and it's porous into these surfaces. And then it's like the carrier of all these toxic stuff to stick to our clothing and stick to our bodies. And that it's just I don't know. I've never just conceptualized it like that before, but that makes so much sense. You were saying about the allergies. I don't think you finished the cup story.
Thank you.
That because I remember this now. And so you said that someone who now has a Jaspr is having this clean indoor air. You thought they would have like a worse reaction when they went outside, but that's not what you saw, right?
Thank you for bringing me back.
Sure, yeah.
And it could be Jaspr, but like just broadly clean air in general.
Yeah, clean air.
Because if you had toxic polluted air 24/7, when are you supposed to rest and recover?
Right.
So you're supposed ideally,
making you weaker and weaker and weaker.
I reframe sleep into healing time because that's the only time that it's the best time to heal.
Yeah.
The mental stresses are lower,
That's when we have that melatonin, which is involved in almost every single repair process. So yeah, we need that melatonin to drive all those repair processes. So yeah. For sure.
So, like, if you are bombarded 24 hours a day, so
Mhm.
you're at night and you're breathing in the pet dander and the pollen and the mold and the allergens and the cooking from 2 weeks ago and your neighbor's bounce sheets, your body's playing defense big time. So how are you going to consolidate those memories and repair those muscles and organs and all the good stuff that bodies naturally do automatically when they sleep if they're still playing defense and they're under attack
Yeah.
24/7? You don't enter your healing state anymore.
Mhm.
So what happens is what I've witnessed very anecdotally, but in high volume. So this is not a scientific study, but the amount of people whose allergies have gone away fully, because what happens is now they have this 8 hours a day to rest, recover, heal, the whole thing. And then their resilience builds up. Like, humans are awesome. We can handle a lot.
Yeah.
So then when you go out into the outside and you breathe some mold and some pollen and some allergies and some cedar and hay fever and all that, it's fine. No biggie. A couple hours, if your cup, so Ben's visual analogy was by having clean air at night, you're draining those stress loads down and you can handle a little bit. They won't spill over.
Love
But if
that.
you're 24 hours a day bombarded by pollutants and particles, your body will heal itself if you allow it the time and space to do so.
Love that.
But if it's being bombarded by all these particulates and toxic things, then it doesn't get to do its job.
Yeah, what a great visual and great analogy. Of course, Ben Azadi, he's he calls Dr. Pompa the goat. I think he's the goat. He's amazing.
Young goat.
But yeah. So now let's talk about, you had some really interesting strategies about how to help having clean air, like I guess clean air strategies for our home, and some things that I never considered, like with carbon dioxide. So can you talk about those strategies?
Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that can be done like today, like right now.
Okay.
Easy, low hanging fruit. And with any of these problems, you can focus on the source or you could focus on the symptom. And, with water, we don't focus on the source because it'd be far too impractical.
Yeah.
So we filter the water. We do the best that we can, and we can, and it works really well. With air, same deal. We can't do that much about the source. So like if you had mold, visible, physical, black mold, you must remove that source. If you have airborne mycotoxins, like everybody has mold because mold is omnipresent always, you can't deal with the source because the only way to deal with the source is by the source is Earth. What are you gonna do? So you got to filter it out from your home haven, your sleep sanctuary, your clean air environment. So those little tips are a combination of source things, and then also like mostly some of them are treating the source, some of them are treating the symptom.
Okay.
So an example would be, let's start with cooking. Sometimes I jump all over the place here, and I would like to make it more digestible. So we could either go from the top of the house to the bottom of the house, or let's start with cooking.
Start with cooking.
Okay.
Perfect.
So with cooking, number one is cooking naturally is a pollutant. It's something that you should do outside if life permits for it.
I guess we did, always cook outside over a fire, and now we're cooking inside. I just never thought about it like that.
Well, we just only invented inside very recently.
Very recently.
Inside is I haven't looked it up yet, but when did inside or outside or indoor outdoor get added to the dictionary?
That's a really interesting concept.
You're like, I got to go outside. I'm like, that's just Earth.
Yeah,
it's weirder.
Like we were always outside, or I guess inside of a teepee or some sort of
roof over your head.
Yeah,
keep the rain out, keep the stuff dry.
It was like a structure or a habitat, but not like a
lot of the world still lives like that.
Yeah, not
keep the animals out, the wind out, the rain out.
Yeah,
give yourself a place to sleep and cook, or like not get your stuff wet. But it wasn't keeping air out.
But not to cook. Yeah,
it was just a structure to keep the rain off of it.
Right,
and then.
Yeah, so we brought cooking from outside inside. Okay, tell us what we should do.
Since the 70s, by the way, there's been a huge push to make homes more energy efficient. And energy efficiency is at total odds with environmental health because it wants to keep the cool in the summer and the warm in the winter and keep your home this little tight Tupperware box wrapped in vapor barrier and insulated like crazy. So that's good to keep costs down. It's good for thermal comfort, bad for environmental health.
Why is it bad from your perspective on environmental health?
Well, because we trap everything in. So
Mm.
whether that's the carbon dioxide that we're breathing out, whether that's the cooking that we're keeping in, if you're using that hairspray product, it's trapped indoors.
Mm.
If the pollen from outside's coming in and then the UV rays don't even get a chance to hit it to filter it for you. So all the bad stuff comes in, and then the best air purifier, the nature, the sun, the wind, the trees, we trap that stuff out. It's like if you don't get mold. If you have a little damp sandwich, you put it in the Tupperware, it gets moldy because you put it in this artificial box. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, so the energy efficiency issues are also a problem from a circadian and quantum perspective because we're taking the infrared out of our light bulbs, which is a big problem. We're filtering out the infrared and a lot of the UV from the windows, and then we're deficient in that light source.
mm.
So you're saying UV light also, and trees filtering things, and UV light purifies, or what does it do to the air? I haven't heard this before.
Well, UV
Yeah.
from the sun,
Yeah.
just like you could use UV to filter water, clean water, you could use it to clean a surface. It isn't the most incredible antibacteria, antibiologic ever. So the sun is
Uh-huh.
doing all that for us. And then when we trap that thing outside, it's not cleaning our surfaces anymore.
What? It's just like I keep, the story of the sun just keeps unfolding for me in such a cool way. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, it even impacts our air in a beneficial way. And then so this idea of when we keep nature out too much, it is convenient and comfortable for humans, but it's really detrimental to our health. So you kind of gave us this sort of overview of like, carbon dioxide and the pollen and the keeping things in. So keep going on this story of like how we can improve our indoor air
Totally.
quality. So I think we left off with cooking.
Yeah. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
cook outside when you can, do.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, cracking doors and windows. And I'm going to assume everybody right now that I'm speaking to has no air purifier.
Okay.
They aren't using filtration as a technique. We're
Okay.
just working with what we got.
Okay.
So opening doors and windows when you cook is such a low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, 2 windows. Not doors can be a little bit annoying. If you have like screen windows,
Mm-hmm.
opening 2 screen windows on opposite sides of the house would be great, or at least different floors, so you could create that cross breeze and that cross ventilation. Opening just 1 window doesn't do nearly that much, but opening 2 is a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Ideally opposite sides of the house to create that cross breeze.
Hmm.
And then your range hood.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about the range hood? Yeah.
So make sure your range hood vents outside. A lot of people's range hood vents just up to the cabinet right above. Another huge percentage.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. Doesn't vent anywhere.
So what would be the point of that? Just to move air?
Just trap it up in there and doesn't really get very trapped. That's why your house still stinks like cooking.
Whoa.
Some people's vent into their attic. And then, of
Okay.
course, they have mold and stuff because they're just, they're boiling stuff and then they're just pumping all the water into the attic. And then the attic often isn't adequately vented outside.
Yeah.
So this is a problem.
Ooh.
Sometimes it is indeed vented outside.
Mm-hmm.
However, the fan doesn't work.
Mm.
I was with Lindsay, Animal Base Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and I was testing her range hood. Her range hood vented into the cabinet above. My range hood at the Jaspr house that I use as my office, even on fan speed 3, we were shooting a video the other day testing the range hood. It blows air in. It pulls out and blows. It's blowing and pulling at the same time. It's not doing anything. So I call it just the good old fashioned Kleenex test, the paper towel napkin test.
Okay.
It should, when you put your range hood on, it should pull it up and
suck it up.
keep
Yeah.
it there.
Okay.
And ideally, like I really like the elegance of fan speed 1.
Okay.
If you're really cooking, turn it up.
Yeah.
It should be a little bit annoying. There should be noise pollution created in your home when you're cooking.
Okay.
If you're not opening your doors and windows,
Okay.
it's like if you're having the thermal comfort, you have cooking indoors comfort, you got the AirPods are in, you got it all. That range hood should be annoying because if it's not annoyingly loud, it's not venting the food outside and all the off-gassing and the particulates and the oils. So it should be a little bit inconvenient.
Okay.
At least at the point where you're using like high heat. But I think fan speed 1 is really cool because it's not too noisy.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of your cooking that may just off gas a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
at least we're venting it out. So
Okay.
make sure, so range hood deserves its whole own thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, make sure it vents outside, make sure it works. And then if you're using, if the cooking that you're doing permits you to use the back grill instead of the front, like if you're boiling something, always use the back burner of the stove, because the front burners are less underneath the range hood. So the front burners, the range hood's maybe capturing like 30 or 40%, and it's like twice as good for the back burner. So back burners are much better than the front burner.
I think everyone has that. There's memes about their favorite little burner on the stove is front right. It's like, why is your favorite burner front right?
Most
And
convenient.
it's like, yeah, everyone always talks about that one. So we'll move it.
It seems like convenience and comfort are always, almost always at odds with health.
Yeah.
Like somehow like the most delicious addictive foods are often the worst. Like, come on, it just has to be that way.
It's like not moving, you know, it feels good to like lay there and binge watch Netflix, yet, you know, going to the gym. It's like this temporary discomfort. You know, humans just lived with so much discomfort all the time, and we're so smart, and we keep trying to outsmart it. But you know, but there's something to be sacrificed.
I feel like exercise was the original sucks now, better later.
Yeah.
And then like sauna, you know, sucks now if you're going really hot, better later.
Yeah.
And then along came cold plunge.
Yeah.
So there's this trend of these things that suck now and then they feel great afterward.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say I'm wondering if any entrepreneurs out there want to spot a potential trend. What sucks in the moment and makes you feel good right after?
Yeah.
The reason Jaspr was once called by someone the laziest way to be healthy, because unlike a lot of the health hacking stuff, optimizing stuff that does require a lot of willpower and bandwidth, clean air and clean water don't. You got to spend the money, ideally once, get your filters and stuff. But like once the air purifier is there and it's on and it's running, no willpower required. So I actually think it's like a really low hanging fruit, because like you got to make the investment. But most people, you know, they join the gym January 2nd. You know, January 11th is like National Pizza Day. Like January 11th or 12th is one of the highest sales days of the year of pizza, because by the 10th, they've basically mentally realized like, fuck this gym thing, and they order pizza. I don't even think it's a conscious effort people make, but pizza restaurants crush it right around the New Year, New Me lasts about 7 to 10 days. And then all that pizza they didn't get for the last week, they got to get revenge pizza.
Revenge pizza.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Wow. Well, I like that idea, that low-hanging fruit. Like you turn it on, the whole family benefits, and you know, everyone in your space is benefiting. The pets are benefiting, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to give, just like you wouldn't. I don't know. I have this thing about air where I'm like, well, other things are more important. Like it's just a weird belief that kind of pops up for me.
For everyone.
And it's like, what is the thing we do the most in the day? Breathe, probably.
You live in it.
Like taking breaths. You know, you're taking a lot of those in your home. I mean, you take more breaths than you drink water, yet we know that filtering our water is really important. 2
liters of water a day and 11,000 liters of air. It's really not even close. Microplastics. We also breathe in an average week a microplastic, a credit card worth of microplastics each week. When they test the air in Antarctica, they find PAH, forever chemicals, like any of the stuff that anyone's worried about in their water. It's hilarious to me, because I'm like, you're literally buying these glass water bottles and ordering from the spring and doing all this stuff. And while you breathe 15 to 20,000 times a day, don't even think about it.
It's so crazy how it's such a miss. I feel like people talk about, you know, the food, the water, the exercise, and now I'm starting to say like,
this is
sunlight.
My job. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here.
It's so interesting. So tell us about CO2, because this was something that like blew my mind.
And I won't forget to finish the loop on that. We're doing a pretty good job at bringing it back.
We are. I like the storytelling.
Me too.
This is how I talk to people normally. Our conversations have branches like a tree, and then we loop them back in.
The benefit of having a conversation that we're recording, I feel like it makes us better at bringing it back.
Yeah, we're better at bringing it back.
But I have a theory as to why that air awareness is low, and I think it's important.
Ooh,
I do.
Drop it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing we do when we're born is take our first breath. The last thing we do before we die is take our last breath.
Okay.
Out of the food, water, and air, those big 3 things that we need to keep ourselves alive, we can only do one thing subconsciously and consciously. You literally, I call air sleep fuel for that reason. And I call it thinking fuel for that reason. Because I think because it's literally you do it in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Water, if you're thirsty, you go drink. You might have like mild dehydration, chronic mild dehydration, if you're not like, putting some effort before it, but like you won't die. You'll go drink some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Food, hunger is going to be really painful for you and you're going to desire to eat
Mm-hmm.
because we used to probably ancestrally have to really work to get our water and our food. So we have hunger and thirst as a tool to make us take action to go get the thing that we need to survive. Air is so abundant in our planet, but not that abundant beyond our planet. It's only exists between the sea and the sky. There's this very thin few mile band where you can't survive in the mountains or in the sea.
Yeah.
There's this very teeny little area where it's perfect for us.
Yeah.
It's so abundant and we don't even have to think to do it. And if you do think about breathing, it gets annoying. It's hard to do. So I kind of feel like because it's the most core thing to our survival and our existence, our bodies have done a good job of making us not have to be aware of it or seek it. We just breathe it.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to me that people talk about food and water. You notice they don't talk about eating and drinking. They talk about food and water.
Yeah.
But we talk about breath work more than air. We talk about the act of the breathing. People talk more about breath work than the stuff they're breathing. People are in LA or Mexico City or wildfire smoke or crazy allergen days.
Yeah.
Huffing and puffing horrible air in. I'm like, this is not the day for it, guys.
Well, I love the analogy that if you don't have a filter, your body becomes the filter. And I think that's a powerful thing as well. Like sometimes this, because it's so innate and we know that we're going to have air, it's kind of like the sunlight conversation. It feels too simple it's like, oh, this is too simple to go in the sun and that it would make me healthier. It's like, yeah, well, I think that there's a high return on investing in clean air because like you said, it's, what is it? 11,000
liters of air per
liters of air per day. Yeah. So, I mean, something that you're
and you're
breathing
filtering it each
that
time.
much of it.
So that brings us to CO2.
Yeah.
So I'll close the loop on the cooking and then CO2.
Okay.
So with cooking, you got the all the particulates. So I think I covered cooking good. Range hood, doors and windows open. Those are low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Bathroom fans, same kind of rule, has the range hood. If you can, leave those fans on. First of all, Kleenex test, make sure they work. And then make sure that you run them. Ideally, you can actually get switches instead of the regular on-off switch. You can get a 2-hour timer switch. So when you're done showering, bathroom fans aren't for poop smells, even though that's what people think they're for.
Okay.
Or to mask the sounds.
Yeah.
It's mostly for humidity. So if you shower, think about how much water your towel absorbs, and then that just goes into your air inside, and your trapped little environment once again. And that's how you get too much mold. So
I don't even have a bathroom fan in my master bedroom.
So then door open.
Yeah, I have the whole door open to like the entire upstairs.
Open the window in your bedroom would be the best thing you could do.
Okay. I can open a window in the shower as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Should I do that?
That is a fan.
Okay.
That's usually code. Usually bathrooms and bedrooms aren't. A bathroom either needs a window or a fan.
A window.
So your window's
or a
perfect.
fan.
Your window
okay.
covers you.
That's what I do. Yeah. Okay. And then when I'm drying my towel, I'm thinking I should dry my towel outside.
Wait, so nobody, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Never hang dry your clothes indoors. That is the number one reason when people have mold, like especially in places with basements and laundry room, they hang dry all these clothes. A, they just had a bunch of chemicals on them and they're off-gassing. B, they're soaking wet. So where do you think that when your stuff dries, if you want to do it in the winter in Canada, where it's really dry, it's actually very effective, has a natural humidifier, but don't do it in your laundry room door with the door shut. That's why a lot of laundry rooms have bathroom fans too. Dishwashers, when you're using your dishwasher, also make sure you're opening your doors and your windows if you're not filtering your air. They're one of the worst pollutants of chemicals in a house. That's why you smell the dishes. Yeah. Because you put all the dish soap in there. Your dryer and your laundry machine and your oven, they all vent outside. Dishwashers don't vent. The steam just gasses your house. So that little plastic, whatever, Lisa will hate me if I name a brand, but I don't even know. Tide, I said it. If you put the Tide Pods or any plasticky laundry dish soap in there, and then your house smells like soap, and you watch it during its like drying cycle, and it's just you see it like shooting steam out. That just goes in your house too. So that's another good opportunity. I mean, try to use cleaner stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like for our next house, we want to go like really hardcore on epic screened-in porch with outdoor kitchen, like not fully outdoor, but massive high ceiling screened-in porch. And just like any house we have with a screened-in porch, we spend all of our time there anyway. Sorry,
That
Lanai.
was me. No,
Lanai.
that was me in Florida. I miss my screened-in porch so much, and I looked for homes when I moved to Austin with screened-in porches. I basically lived out there, so yes. And I was thinking about that just the other day.
It's a happiness hack.
It is the number one thing because you can be outside, no bugs, and then you can kind of like insulate it maybe in the winter. You can
get some
fans
space
in
heaters
there.
do a lot, fans, misters, all that stuff.
And then to have something cooking out there.
No problem.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to be outside all the time.
It can just vent really nicely. I have a vision for like a cottage or a cabin where it's basically like a 50 by 50 screened in porch. So the whole thing's screened in porch. And then within the screened in porch, there's one or two like rooms that are like cabins for like sleeping or like a little workspace when you just need that thermal comfort.
Yeah.
But broadly, basically a screened house.
Love it.
In this climate, you could pull it off. Like I could be there a lot. You can exercise there. Like, yeah,
amazing.
You want to keep the bugs out and all that stuff. But so yeah, the dishwasher being outside would be it would make sense. So once again, another convenience.
Wow.
Super easy robot dishwasher, chemical robot dishwasher. Air fresheners, get those things out. I call them air makeup.
Air makeup.
Hey, that's what it is. The term air freshener is Googled like 10 times more than air purification. Because people, you go, when you mentioned how like you pick up smells.
Yeah.
I came in my house the other day and Rachel smelled the Uber driver's Christmas tree on me. And whenever I go in an Uber, it honestly, like sometimes I don't know, sometimes I get a moment of shyness, but I'm like, I got to overcome this. And I asked the Uber driver, hey, first of all, even if it's hot or cold, do you mind if I crack my window? That's request number one. I mean, let me crack my window.
Yeah.
And then request number two is if they have those air fresheners on the vents, please unplug it.
Yeah.
They give me horrible headaches.
Horrible headaches. Yeah, and then I usually get into some sort of conversation with them if they're
me too.
open to it.
And I showed them the back of my shirt and it says, you are what you breathe on it.
You are what you breathe. Yeah. Don't want to be a toxic soup. So
I covered cooking. Pets, cat litter is a big one. Don't wear your shoes inside. 95% of all shoe tested have fecal matter on them and not just that. So you get the dog poop outside, but you also, if you're walking on the grass, you're getting your neighbor's Roundup, glyphosate. Looks like everything outside, you're putting it on your shoes.
Yeah.
Ideally, pets sleeping in your bedroom is a really bad idea. If they are going to, then honestly, like you have to buy an air purifier because like all that pet dander, and especially a dog or an outdoor animal, they're rubbing their butts they're rubbing all their fur. Like you would never take a blanket, go outside, rub it on the grass lawn, rub it on some other dog's butts, rub it on the road, rub it on the tree, and then shake it out in your bed. But if you have a dog that's outside every day, like you do that daily and you just normalize it because it comes in a cute furry bundle of love. But like, groom the dog better and put an air purifier in your bedroom, guys, because you don't want to live in that toxic soup. And like, it's shocking. Like I created Jaspr for wildfire smoke. I never thought we'd be doing this. And the wins that people get with their health. That's why right at the end of the pod, I'll mention the life-changing guarantee and stuff.
Okay.
Because like we put our money where our mouth is. Yeah. It just makes people feel a lot better.
Yeah.
CO2, that's something Jaspr can't fix. That's carbon dioxide. That's the thing we breathe out when we exhale, and we breathe in oxygen. We breathe out CO2, the opposite of trees, plants. And this is a big deal because high CO2 is indicative of two things. Number one, bad ventilation. So it gives you an indication of how much air you're sharing with other people. So this place, by the way, I usually have my CO2 detector in here.
Yeah.
It's in my bag, actually.
Okay.
The CO2 is pretty good in here. It stays under 800.
Okay.
Outdoor CO2 is 400.
Okay.
Indoor, 600 to 800 is good. Okay. Once you hit 1,000, that's when brain fog and fatigue kicks in. Big time. The higher it goes, like 1,500, 2,000, that is what you would call stuffy. It's stuffy in here. That's your sensor saying CO2 is high. You have a built-in CO2 detector. We call it stuffy. That's when you say, let me go outside for a breath of fresh air. You open it. It's like, yo, that's not fresh air. That's just air. Your indoor air is so bad that regular air that we now call outside is so bad that you think that's amazing air. It could be a high allergen day, super polluted, and you're like,
You're like,
the outside, and it's like your indoor air was so bad that seemed good.
interesting.
So CO2 is it's what we off gas. It's what we off gas. It's what we breathe it out.
Right.
So yeah, it's important because.
So would having plants in your bedroom be helpful?
Nah, I wish. I've tested a lot of stuff with plants.
Yeah.
Plants theoretically can clean air, but like you would need trees in your house.
Yeah.
So I've never put an air purifier in a room and watched the particulate go down or the VOCs go down or the CO2 go down.
Okay.
NASA did a study a few decades ago, which I used to quote all the time, but no one's ever replicated it. And it's just too small. It might be like that example where I said like you clean 1 square inch. Like maybe they put like a tree, like a giant tree in like a closet and like made it really tight and then like it kind of helped. And like what other factors did you like clean the room while you were doing it? So I haven't seen that to be true. It's just it's too small. And if you had so many plants in your house, you would then have too much humidity and pests. So it would be a new issue that would be created because it's a great environment for bugs and pests and insects, and they're very humid. Dogs also contribute to humidity a lot. Cats not so bad. You're good.
Dogs contribute.
Yeah, they're very wet. They're wet. They pant. They have wet noses. They're typically like moist creatures.
Wow, I'm just learning so much. Okay, keep going with the CO2. This is fascinating.
So CO2 is a big one, especially when you sleep. You really want to dial in that CO2.
Okay.
You can buy a CO2 detector for like $100 to $200 on Amazon.
Okay.
I use one called the Aranet 4, ARANET 4. I've heard good things about Inkbird and some other brands. It's not something you need to like monitor. I keep one in my bag because I used it in my bedroom to make sure my CO2 during the night is okay.
I want to use
it. Was. There's also brands called Aware and Air Things that have more of like a monitoring style one. That one would be good to like keep in your bedroom. But if CO2 in a home is 600 to 800, I've seen someone like my parents hosted a dinner party for maybe 40 people and the CO2 got to 3,500. That's when people get tired at parties all the time.
Yes.
I'm always at like events and boardrooms and shows and parties. I'm always cracking doors and windows and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is so interesting.
Recently, I was at a kava bar here in Austin, and this guy Dane Maxwell, he was talking to the lady serving the kava, and he goes, "Mike's a human air quality detector." He put me on the spot. She goes, "He can detect mold and CO2 and everything," and I just like closed my eyes. I'm like, it's not by smell, it's by ease of breath. The lower the CO2, the easier you're able to breathe. And I'm like 950. And then I grab my CO2 detector, pull it out. It takes about to calibrate, and it was 960.
Oh my gosh.
It's like I could tell.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it sounds crazy, but if we go outside right now and I ask you to guess the temperature, you're going to get pretty close.
Yeah.
If we ask 5 people what the temperature is outside, one person won't say 90 and one person say 60. You likely won't even have an 80 and a 60.
Yeah.
You're going to have it like everyone's going to be within 5 degrees. It's because you got temperature sensor built in.
Yeah.
You know how desert feels. You know how the rainforest feels because you got relative humidity sensor built in.
Yeah.
So if you pay attention, so I've tuned into my CO2 sensor.
Right.
I've tuned into my mold
That's
sensor.
like how I could tune into my blood sugar a lot of the times.
makes
Like
sense.
sometimes I'll test my blood sugar. I'm like, there's no way. And then I'll test it again. And it was like, oh, I think this strip is
Right,
expired.
you've calibrated.
I just pretty much know what it is on average.
Ooh,
yeah,
I would like that.
for sure.
So like that to me now, like that gets me excited about wanting to know because I'm like, I want all the features I can get.
Yeah.
Katie Wells, Wellness Mama.
Yeah. I love Katie.
She told me a story about someone she knows who installed like a compass basically on them. Basically, so it would vibrate a different frequency for north, east, south, and west. And after a couple months, they were able to remove that and they knew what direction they're facing at all times.
That's north.
Yeah?
I know where I am.
Do you?
I'm very good at directions. I feel like I have an internal compass.
So, and I wonder, I feel like they stack. Like I bet you having your dialed in blood sugar like elevates all the stuff, the water taste, the food taste, the chemically thing.
Yeah. I'm like
environmentally sensitive.
As you get rid of toxins, for me, it started with my food. And then I started filtering my water beyond a Brita and, started dialing in taking out different fragrances and toxic products, like your body becomes so much more attuned to what feels good because now it's not used to all that crap that
It's
you're
amazing
getting.
how it can't tell. So we bought my one daughter is very intolerant to to dairy.
Okay.
So we use that coconut whipped cream stuff
Uh-huh.
from the grocery store.
Okay.
And because we were buying that, we also bought the regular whipped cream.
Uh-huh.
Dip it in strawberries. It seems better than ice cream and cake and cookies.
Yeah.
And then Rachel's like, I got the real whipped cream.
Yeah.
And then she tasted that, and she goes, after she had the whipped cream for the real whipped cream,
Uh-huh.
she goes, now I taste the chemicals
In the coconut one.
and even in the dairy one. But in the aerosol can,
Yeah.
she tastes all those other chemicals. It's like this. Usually, you don't have whipped cream straight, so the strawberry or the other thing masks it.
Yes.
But by having the actual cream without the extra stuff, increased her awareness to then notice it in its like chemical form.
Yeah, a lot of people, they cut out gluten, let's say, when they start working with me, and almost inevitably people will they're like, I had an occasion, or they fall off the proverbial wagon or whatever it is, or they just are like, you know what, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And they may have come to me without any known gluten issues, and they don't feel anything if they were to eat pizza, and then they eat the pizza after 2 weeks without it, and they feel like garbage.
Wrecked.
And what's happened is that your immune system has had a chance to kind of rebuild, regenerate, and that's just what we were talking about with the example of the allergies, that now you're not pounding your immune system every 5 seconds with all like the gluten and the toxins and whatever, wherever it's coming from, whether it be air, food, water. And your body can get stronger and then mount a more appropriate and strong and direct and more immediate immune response to let you know, like, hey, I really hated that. And I've been hating it this whole time, but I've been showing you by just increasing your inflammation and giving you these random headaches. But now what happens once you take those foods out and you like have them, that's why you're like that sensor that your psoriasis acts up when you go into bad air, because your body's so used to, or gluten, your body's so used to it, that clean air, and it's been helping your immune system sort of regenerate and get stronger.
Gluten, for my own personal lived experience, has been the only other thing, gluten and air, that like if I go bad, it's instant.
Yeah.
It's instant. And if I clean it up, so like that's why air feels like magic to me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it would work this good. It's just like, you probably at some point in the journey when you were learning all this stuff were like surprised by how good your learnings were.
Yeah.
And how you were living poorly before.
Yeah.
And like some things, when you learn them, they're actually not that difficult.
Yeah.
And usually my favorite health things are always addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Like the supplements and all that is cool, but
But if you don't take out what's making you sick, you're not going to get well. And I think that's a really important piece that people are like, well, what do I add in? And what's this, next probiotic? Yeah. And my friend Amanda, she talked about her journey with alcohol, and she was, on this journey to just be the best expression of herself she could be on this personal development journey. And she was adding all these teachings and meditations and yoga and spiritual gurus and therapy and reading and journaling and like going to the gym and all the things. And it wasn't until she personally took out alcohol that everything could then start to work. And so it's like, if we're not catching these things that are just really fundamental and taking out the things that are making us sick, then all the other things that we're doing, we're not giving them an opportunity to work as well.
Yeah, so I love that with all the stuff. Like, I'm not a body health expert by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah.
Air.
And it feels like, addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
What else is important?
So I'm looking at your shirt, and can you tell us about the logo on your shirt and how it changes?
I can. So I have my new shirts coming soon.
Okay.
I have the green ones now, and the Jaspr logo, the A is a tree, and the A is supposed to kind of feel a little bit mountainy.
I love, it does.
It was weird when I like saw the logo for the first time. I
Mhm.
felt like I've known it for my whole life,
Really?
which was a weird experience.
I love
Even
it.
when we thought of the name Jaspr,
Yeah.
thinking about names for a bit, and when we landed on that name, I felt like I'd known Jasper for a long time.
Where does the name come from?
Me and my wife were thinking about names,
Uh-huh.
and the first bad name I came up with, like in development phase, like 2 years before Jasper was even named.
Uh-huh.
Jasper didn't have a name for the first 2 years I was developing
Uh-huh.
the product. The name was Airvoxa
Oh, yeah, no.
because it was intentionally a bad name. It was good enough that we had a thing,
Yeah,
but it was bad enough that we definitely would never keep this name.
right.
If it was a sneaky kind of good name, it could be like tough. I'm like, that is the perfect horrible name.
Yeah.
That will definitely not. It's just like sounds like every other brand. I'd go to Home Depot and Walmart,
Yeah.
and like so it was like
Yeah.
infomercial. We got the Airvoxa Pro 2000C,
Yeah.
so it was perfect
Yeah.
to do its job.
Yeah.
Like let's just make the best product now.
Right.
And then we were thinking about mountains and trees and forests, and Jasper is a mountain in Alberta, Canada, where they bottle the air and they sell it to China in a can because it has some of the cleanest air in the world. So that was a big part of it. But we were looking for something that was like a species of tree or a flower or a mountain. And Jasper is near Banff.
Yeah.
It is one of the most beautiful mountains.
Beautiful.
With but the cool thing is the air is not good in the summer when it's filled with wildfire smoke.
Interesting.
So the shirt, as you can see, it has a green circle on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because that's the same thing Jasper does when your air is good.
Yes.
So what I like to do now, I have my yellow and red ones coming in, and I didn't get the idea till I got this shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it will work is I check the air quality like 3 or 4 times a day anyway. Because like if it's bad air outside, horrible day to go for a run.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say it's a good air outside. You know, everybody talks about weather by like, what's the temperature?
Yeah. Is it raining?
Sunny, cloudy, rain or no rain.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the cleanest air day, but there's a little bit of rain and a little bit cool, I'm waterproof.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So temperature is just one of the metrics of air.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to like appreciate the beauty of the clean air, which is getting more rare and rare all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you don't only look at temperature and you don't only look at sun. Like here in Austin, when it's hot,
Mm-hmm.
now clouds mean shade.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
clouds are fine.
Yeah.
So when I look at the air quality outside each day, I will put on the shirt that
Mhm.
corresponds with the outdoor air. So then if you see me wearing a red shirt that day, you're like, whoa, you know the air is bad. And if you don't know me and you ask, what's that logo?
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect conversation starter for me to explain why the air is what it is in the moment. And I found the more I can add visual references for people.
Mm-hmm.
So my little local coffee shop's called the Civil Goat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always open indoors when it's overly busy and their ventilation's bad, their Jasper's cranking. I'm always opening doors and windows
Mm-hmm.
to get the CO2 down. But once I showed the staff, guys, feel the air right now. I showed them the CO2 detector with it. I took them outside, had them breathe a breath of fresh air, and they watched the number go down. Now their CO2s are all calibrated. They all now monitor the doors and windows themselves. I only had to show them one time.
Wow.
But if I just explain it's stuffy in here and I crack the window and the door, but if I can connect it to a feeling inside and a number and a feeling outside and a number,
Yeah.
it locked it in. And now they're like, oh, the CO2's high in here.
I have a question about CO2.
Okay.
So I close all my doors and windows and shades and stuff when I'm sleeping because I want a pitch black environment. But I have the AC going. So, and it's going a lot because I like it cold and it's hot here. So is that bringing in fresh air that doesn't have the high CO2?
Yeah.
Is that helping?
Yeah.
Okay.
A ton.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay. Good.
If outdoor air is bad, like pollution wise, then you know that's a blessing and a curse as well.
Well, I have my Jaspr.
Oh, then you're good.
There.
It's up in the bedroom now.
Yeah, I put it
Away
up in
from
the
the
bedroom.
kitchen.
Well, I'm switching it back and forth, but yeah.
Tough call, isn't it?
I know it's a tough call.
Maybe we'll have to get you one more.
I know.
Then you're really dialed in.
Yeah.
But then no, then but yeah, a cracked window or your HVAC system running creates airflow. Airflow creates ventilation. So yeah, typically when that furnace fan's turning on and off,
Yeah.
CO2 is moving with it.
Okay.
Now, if you had like 10 people over, and here's the crazy thing, when my parents had that 3,500 CO2 event,
Yeah.
I had my air sensor there.
Mhm.
It stays high for days. It doesn't just purge unless you actively like open all your doors and windows after and like let it sit for half an hour. That's those gases will stay in your home for days because your home is this kind
Whoa.
of like airtight bubble.
Wow.
A
With
fun
the lack of flow.
the lack of flow.
Could you like turn on all the fans? Like I have ceiling fans in all the
Yeah.
rooms and like
Just increase ventilation. Just purge.
okay.
I mean, if you have a lot of people over,
Mm.
you need to consider that because your home wasn't designed for 12 or 13 people. And
Wow.
people,
It's just me and the
another
cats.
visual, well, the cats are very slow breathers.
Yeah, and they don't sleep in the bedroom, so
Oh,
just
you're
me.
good.
Just me. I'm good. I have a huge bedroom, so.
So another way that people kind of don't realize how air is all connected, if you took a red food coloring and you put 5 or 6 drops into a bathtub,
Okay.
how long those red drops don't stay in the red drop area. Within a few seconds,
The red drop area.
all of the my
Yeah.
caveman speak.
I love it. I love it. It's cracking me up.
All of the water is equally red.
Right.
That's why
It
like you can
diffuses
smell a
just like
friggin'
that.
fart or cooking across a room or across a house.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah, you can smell bacon up in my closet. Like it travels all the way up.
Yeah, and it's just because all of your air is now baconized
Bacon.
just as much as the red food coloring would be in the water.
Makes sense.
I learned this thing. There's this guy, this dad in my daughter's class. He's hard to connect with, but he is a rocket scientist for Blue Origin.
Oh my
He's
God.
a real scientist. So I'm like, when we're hanging out, let me just ask him crazy space questions.
Yeah.
So when you think about water currents
Mhm.
in like the ocean
Mhm.
or in whatever waves or whatever, water currents is the exact same as air currents. That's like wind.
Yeah.
There's indoor air currents too. You can feel them.
Yeah.
Like you can really feel them. I never knew this. It just connected to me yesterday when we talked to him. The asteroid belts are space currents. That's why, like, when you see an asteroid belt, it's a vacuum of space, but it works as a current the same way. That's why when the asteroid hits the belt, it stays in the belt. It's not just like free roaming through space. There's asteroid belts, which like kind of protect planets because if the asteroid lands in the asteroid belt, it stays in the belt. So there's even currents in the vacuum of space.
Crazy.
I'm just like, currents are everywhere.
Wow.
I like currents.
So
Big current
interesting.
guy.
Big current guy. I love that. So let's talk about where people can get a Jaspr. I'll put a discount code for you guys in the show notes somewhere.
Do you know what day this is going to come out?
I don't.
Okay. Well, let's pretend we knew.
Okay.
So we don't know the day. That's fine. Do we have what code? What code would you like to use?
I can look.
Because
usually DANIHEALTH is my code.
Danny.
DANIHEALTH.
DANI.
Health.
Health. HE. We know how to spell health.
We know how to spell.
If you're here, we know how to spell.
Yeah.
So DANIHEALTH. That will be the code.
Okay.
So here's what we'll do.
Okay.
So whatever today is, let's just say it's whatever the day is.
Okay.
Starting today, the day that this episode comes out.
Okay.
For the first 7 days, the code will be $200 off.
Amazing.
And then after the 7 days, it will forever be $100 off. So, we don't really like do Google ads and we're not on Amazon. We strongly believe that the best marketing is a good product and a fair price. So to honor your most loyal listeners that tuned in the first week and are wondering, is today the day? Is this the week where I invest in clean air? This should be the week. And then what we also do, we have discounts on our website.
Okay.
So if people buy 2, it's 10% off, 3, it's 15, and 4, it's 20. Our bundles stack. So let's say someone out there does want a whole home clean air system. They'll get 40% off with our 2 codes because it's not like your code or our code. They stack.
Amazing.
And then on top of that, the most important thing is we have something called... So everything we sell, which is only one product, has a lifetime warranty. So even if someone's Jaspr breaks after 3 years, we send you a brand new one the next day. You take the new one out of the box. You put the old one back in the box. We give you a prepaid shipping label from UPS, and then we schedule UPS to come pick it up 9 a.m. the next day. So we make sure if the Jaspr has an issue, that's a Jaspr problem. That's not anyone's problem but ours.
Yeah.
So we cover the shipping both ways. We ship brand new units.
Amazing.
We put our money where our mouth is, and then we also have the life-changing guarantee. So we have all the third-party studies in the world and how much we remove mold and dust and Catter and CFM and stats and facts. But why somebody would want to buy an air purifier, a Jaspr, instead of something else? There are other air purifiers that clean the air just as well as Jaspr that are a few $100s cheaper. The trade-off is they're very loud and they're very ugly. And, they don't have smart sensors. Or, the really, really cheap ones, they don't tend to do a very good job cleaning. So Jaspr makes sense for somebody who wants something that cleans the air really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely automated. It looks beautiful. It has no Wi-Fi, no apps, no Bluetooth, no EMF. It's very simple. So it's designed, and because of the lifetime warranty, it's the last air purifier anyone ever needs to buy. So for a little over $1 a day, they'll have clean air for life.
Mm-hmm.
And the life-changing guarantee means if within the first 2 months, not 30 days, 2 months, if for any reason it's not a no-brainer, where like you're not sleeping way better if it's in your bedroom, or you're not feeling way cleaner air when the Jasper's on smart mode in your kitchen, we'll give you 100% refund. So
Amazing.
Hang on to the box for the first month or two. This has only happened 5 or 6 times ever across many. We don't really get returns. We don't really have these issues because,
Yeah.
we educate
it
people
works
properly.
So well. I have
It
one
works
and I love
good.
it.
So this is why I don't just like to throw codes at people and say buy, 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 and not have, the warranty should match the life expectancy of the product. So I like coming to have conversations with health aware audiences. There's no aggressive sales bones in this body.
I love it. You're good people, Mike.
if getting something off a DIY air purifier, Google if that's ugly and annoying, it's still better than nothing. And everything's baby steps.
Right.
So I would rather people not buy something for a bunch of money with a 1-year warranty that's made from plastic and doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can make your own thing, but we believe that we created the perfect balance of something that doesn't pollute the outside, that lasts a long time. So to whoever it resonates with you, it'll be $200 off starting today for 1 week, and then $100 off for the rest of the future after that. So hopefully it resonates with some of you guys.
Thanks so much, Mike.
My pleasure.
It's been fun.
It was fun
Thank
indeed.
you.
Till next time.
Namaste.